Hello friends, welcome to my YouTube channel. This time I am creating series of videos on incremental load. This series will be bit longer, so I request you to keep patience while watching these videos. First of all, what is incremental load? Till now we learned generic load, resident load, preceding load, cross table load, inline load. We also have buffer load, binary load. Incremental load is actually a set of processes of loading new and modified records from a database and then appending them to already stored QEDs. Why we need incremental load? As the volume of data increases, the time taken to extract data from the database is also get increased. Consider a case where we have like 100 or 200 million rows and we are loading data every single day. So to load historical data, to extract those 100 or 200 million rows from database, it will take a large amount of time. It will also increase the burden on the database. So, to handle a large database, we can use incremental load. Now consider a second case where we want to do the frequent load. That means instead of loading once in a day, we have to extract the data several times. So here also we can use incremental load. So the step or the processes of incremental load is, first time we will do the full load, store the data in QED, and second time we will load only new or change records, and then we will call the previously stored QED, append the new records into the QED, and then override the old QED with the new QED. And the third time or fourth time we will repeat the same process. The complexity of incremental load depends on the nature of the database, but there are three cases of incremental loads. Insert only. Insert only works like we have stored a QED and we will add new records. No update, no deletion of any old records. To do the insert only incremental load, we need a field which can identify the incremental records. So this type of fields are like, if we have primary key which is having the incremental one, like the ID 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So right now we have loaded only 5 records. Next time onwards we will load more than 5. So that means 6, 7, 8, something like that. We can also use record updated date and time. We will see this by example. The second one is insert and update. Here we will add new records as well as modify records in the QED. And the third one is insert, update and delete, where we will save the final QED with the new records, with the modified records, and we will also delete records which are deleted from the database. Advantage of incremental load. So it will reduce the burden on the server and it will also reduce the significant amount of reload time. The basic behind incremental load is the use of QED. We all know that optimized QED load or unoptimized or standard QED load is 10 to 100 times faster compared to the same data we will load from the database. Now we will see how the incremental load will work. So say we have a database. The database can be of any type, SQL, Oracle, Teradata. We want to create a final data QED. And this QED we will load inside the application layer, means in an application to create the Qlik objects and dashboards. So to create this final data QED, we need a Qlik Sense or Qlik View application. Say for the first time, we have around 50 million records as of 31st of May 2022 at 2 p.m. And we will use a Qlik Sense or Qlik View application which will connect to the database through a data connection and then extract these 50 million records without any where condition, without any filter, because we want to do the full load. And at the end of the extraction process or extraction layer, we will get 50 million records which we will save in final data QED. Before moving ahead, we will also store this 31st May 2022 2 p.m. This is the maximum updated date and time into a text file, CSV or QED. So at the end of the first load, which is a full load, we have 50 million records. Now say that we have 5,000 records added on the same day up to 8 p.m. and we are doing the another load at 8 p.m. So this time we will do the incremental load. Again, the Qlik application will connect to the database and use the where condition. So we will get the date and time from the QED. We have saved maximum date and time. So we will use this date and time as a filter and we will extract the data. We will get only 5000 records, and these 5000 records we will append to the final data QED. We will store this 31st May 2022 8 p.m. in the same QED. In fact, we will override this maximum date and time QED. So now that QED has got maximum date and time 8 p.m. of 31st of May 2022. So at the end of the second load, which is the incremental load, we have 5000 records more. So the total records in the final data QED is 50 million and 5000. Now say next day we are doing the another load. So 1st of June 2022 at 10 a.m. another 7500 records added. Qlik application will connect to the database with the database connection, and then it will use where condition where we have maximum date and time is 31st May 2022 8 p.m. and doing the extraction we will get 7500 records only. This 7500 records now append to the final data QED, and we will save maximum date and time now, that is 1st of June 2022 10 a.m. And now end of the third load, which is the incremental load, we have 50,012,500 records. So this is the way we can do the incremental load, and this process will keep continue and we will get our final QED. So now by real-time example, we will see how incremental load works. First of all, I will show you a database. We have order DB database where we have sales order table. This sales order table has got ID as a primary key, which is incremental here. We also have updated date and time. So we can use this updated date and time for the insert only incremental load. Right now we have data up to 31st of May 2022, and at this stage we have around 61.9 million records. So now we will perform the incremental load. I have created two applications here. One is for the incremental load, which is the extract layer, and one is the incremental load test. So first of all, I will show you, we have a SQL connection here. We have a folder sales data where we are going to save this QED, and right now it is empty. So for the first time, when you do the load, we need to do the full load. So I will write a condition here. I will say if file size lib sales data, which is my connection, this, and inside that if I have sales order.qed, so this file size is greater than 0, then I have to do incremental load, else I have to do full load. And this is my end of my if statement. So here I will write, this is my first if statement. So this is first if statement, and this one is also my first if statement. So here it is a start, it is else section, and this one is my end. So if I will load here, it will say full load because the QED is not there. This file size, if the QED is not there, then this file size will give you null. So I have to write something like that. If not is null, because null cannot be greater than 0. So that means if the file size is there, means it is not null, then do the incremental load, or if it is null, then do the full load. Or I can even write something like this, range sum file size and then 0. If this is greater than 0, then do the incremental load, otherwise do the full load. So now we should get the full load here. Next step is I have to do the extraction of the data. So I will go to the database and then I will do the load here. So you can see now we have 61.9 million records. So instead of mentioning all field name, I will mention here star, and I will give name of this table sales orders. And once this sales order table will created from the extracted data, I have to store inside my QED. So before doing that, I will find out whether we have any data in this table or not. So I will write down something here, if number of rows in my table this sales order is greater than 0, means we have records, then I have to store this into this location. So instead of repeating this QVD folder, I can write here set vqvd folder equal to this, and now I can pass this variable with the $sign expansion here. We also have to find out the maximum updated date and time. I'm talking about this updated date and time, and the maximum updated date and time is 31st of May 2022. So I will write down here max updated date time, and I will say load max of updated date and time as max updated date and time resident of my sales order table, and this one also I have to store. And now after storing, I will drop both the tables. So before doing the load, I will check that all this my configuration and setting and my code is working or not. So what I will do here is I will write down here select top 100 and we will load it. So now we can see that we have these two QVDs created. I will open this QVD and we'll see what data we have got. So we got around 100 lines here, and the maximum updated date and time is something like this. So let's convert to the proper timestamp here. So here I will say timestamp, and the timestamp which we have in the database is YYYY MMDD HHMMSS. So I will use the same format, and now we will load it again. So what I will have to do, it will go to the incremental load now because the QVD is there. So what I have to do, I have to delete the QVD. So I will delete both the QVDs and then I will load it again, and we'll see how the max updated date and time is. So the max updated date and time is in the proper format now. So now I will do the full load again. So I will remove this top 100 from here, and then I will do the full load now. I will pause this video because this full load is gonna take around 5 to 6 minutes. So when we will be at the end of this extraction, I will come back again. So we are now about at the end of the extraction layer, which is a full load right now. And you can see it take more than 6 minutes now. So this is just a case of 60 million rows, but consider that you have millions of rows, like 200, 500 million rows, then it will take 20, 30 minutes every day. This is why we have to use incremental load here. So right now 61.9 million records loaded, and it will also find out maximum updated date and time. So it will take another minute or so, and both the QVDs will store in our sales underscore data location. So you can see it took around 10 minutes to do the full load and create two QVDs. One is having the sales orders table and one is the maximum updated date and time. So we'll see now how the two QVDs are. So these are the two QVDs getting created, and if you open this QVD, maximum updated date and time, then you can see we have the same data compared to this SQL. 31st of May 2022, 23:59:53. So now we will do the incremental load. So before moving ahead, I will store this information somewhere. So I will store in an Excel file. So we have this many records. This is the maximum updated date and time. This is only for our records. We are not going to use anywhere in our script. And it's a full load and it took around 10 minutes. Yeah, 10 minutes and 13 seconds. So now, as we have this QED, sales orders.qed, if you run it again, it will go to the incremental load and nothing is going to happen because we haven't wrote anything in the incremental load. So now our next step is to perform the incremental load. So for the incremental load, first thing I need is the maximum updated date and time QED. So that I will get it from here. So this is my maximum updated date and time QED and I will write down name of that QED here. And I will store data of this QED inside a variable. So I will say let v maximum updated date and time equal to pick of my that line. Because it's only one line and it's only one table, we don't have to mention the table name, we don't have to mention the line number here. So this we have stored inside a variable and now we don't need this, so I can drop this. So this is the case and I will now perform incremental load. So what I have to do, I have to again connect to the database. I have to do the data extraction, but I have to write here a where condition. So I will say where updated date and time. My updated date and time should be greater than of my this variable. So this is the case. So if we have records where we have updated date and time greater than this 31st May 2022, then we will get those records. Right now we don't have records, so we are not going to get. We will add records and then we will perform the incremental load. But before doing that, I will show you another thing. We have written here one for this if statement. We have written another if statement here. So I will write here, this is my second if statement and this if statement finish here. So this is my end of this. Now say in this folder where we have sales orders QED and maximum updated date and time QED, you will find sometimes that by mistake this QEDs get deleted or someone has deleted this QED. Then what will happen? I will show you. When we try to load this one, we will get an error because this QED is not there. So we need to avoid this error. We need to write our code in such a way that even though we don't have this QED, we can still perform the incremental load because we already have this QED, sales orders.qed. We don't want to load sales order.qed again. We don't want to do the full load. So if by mistake this maximum updated date and time QED get deleted, then we need to perform incremental load by refinding this maximum updated date and time. So to handle this error, we have to write another if statement here. So I can say here, if file size this and my QED name was this. So if this QED greater than 0, then I will perform this. Else I have to do something. So I can say incremental load but is missing, and I will say end of my if statement. So this is my third if statement. So I will mention start of this third and then I will say else and I will say here end. Because this QED is missing, first this if statement will says okay, we have sales order QED. So now go to here and print this. Then we will come here and we don't have this QED. So we will come to the else statement and we will have only one statement here in the else section. So when we reload this, we will get this and these two statements, nothing else. So now we are in the else section. What we have to do? First of all, we have to load our QED. And I will load only updated date and time. I will say here sales orders, and after loading this I will say max of this, and then I will store as well. So this, but this is a resident of this table, it's correct, and then store here, and then I have to drop this table. And this as well. So what we are doing here now, as soon as we are reaching here, it will load the sales order QED, but it will only load updated date and time, and then we will find out the maximum updated date and time. And what we will do, store this value inside a variable before dropping the table. And now I will load it. So it will load the sales order table from the QED, and you can see how fast 61 million lines get loaded. It took only 13 to 15 seconds, and now it will find out the maximum of updated date and time. It will store inside a variable, and it will also store inside a QED. So this is done, and we will see the QED. So now the QED is getting created, and we will get the same date and time. And I have loaded these two QEDs inside another application. So you can see I have also tried to get the information of QED. I have loaded sales order table, and I have loaded maximum updated date and time, and at front end I have created one table, one filter. So this is sorted by descending order. So you can see the maximum updated date and time is 31st of May 2022. This is the QED information. We have sales order, we have size of the QED, number of fields, and number of records. Number of records is matching with the primary key, which is called as an ID. So we have count of distinct ID equal to number of records, and the maximum updated date and time is showing this. So now if I will try to load again, it will go to this section, because we have sales orders.qed, we have maximum updated date and time.qed. So it will load our single line QED, this, and then store the value of this maximum updated date and time inside this, and then try to pick data from sales order table. Let's see what is happening now. So here I have written trace statement, something like this. So I will write another trace statement, and I will say load statement and max updated date and time exits. Okay, now I will load it. So we are getting an error. Okay, so I have to use this single quote here, and now I will load it. So what will happen now? The sales order table, which is getting loaded from the database, it will try to load only records for which we have updated date and time greater than the date and time from the QED. But we don't have any records. So when there is no record, we have to do nothing. But say we have records. So I will try to update these sales orders. So right now we have data up to 31st of May 2022. Now I will show you data which we have in a text file for 1st of June 2022. So here we have data up to 31st of May. This is the data we have for 1st of June 2022. And now this data I will add inside SQL table by SQL Server Integration Service. I have already created a project here where I have for each loop container, and inside that we have data flow test, and this data will read data from the flat file and add those data inside this SQL table. So I will now add the data. Data is added, and now we will run this again. It will take some time because we have more than 62 million records now. I will pause this video and we'll come back when we have result. So now we have 62 million records, and the maximum updated date and time is 1st of June and the same date. And we will do incremental load and we'll see how much time will it take. So now I will perform the incremental load. So once we start the script, 62,267 new rows get extracted from the database table. These rows we have to add inside our previously stored QED. So what I will do here is, I will say first if statement. Means I will say that by doing this load, have we got any records from the database? If yes, then I have to concatenate with my sales order QED. So I will do here load star I will say here concatenate this sales order with my this QED, and if this QED now I have to store, means I have to overwrite my previously stored QED. Same time I will also find out this maximum date and time and store, and then drop both the tables. So this is my fourth if statement. So I will say end of this fourth if statement. And if we don't have any new records, then it has to do nothing. Sorry, this video is getting little bit lengthy, but to show you all possible combinations, I have to cover everything. So now I will load this and we'll see what happened. So we are getting now 16,262 new rows, and then this 16,000 plus rows now will get added with the previously loaded QED, and then it will store at the same location. That means it will override the QED. So 62,015,311 rows now get added in the new QED. So once these two QEDs getting created, I will load them inside my test application and we'll see how many number of records are there, what is the maximum date and time. So you can see it took around 4 minutes and 45 seconds. And I will load the same inside my test application and we'll see how the data we are getting. So we got 4 minutes 45 seconds. So almost less than 5 minutes. So it's a half time now. And we got 62,015,311 records. This is getting loaded in now. So we are getting exactly the same number of records here as well. So here you can see we have 62,015,311 records, and the maximum updated date and time is 1st of June 2022, almost end of the day. And number of records are matching with the primary key count. So this incremental load is working. So we have considered the case where we have both the QVD is present. But if the QVD is not there, then we will come here and we will create a QVD from order. We will create updated date and time QVD from the sales order QVD, and then the next step is same. So we have to copy this everything and mention it here. So this is the full code. I will give you this code. Check the description section for the whole code. This code looks maybe little confusing, but if you go and write the code step by step, the way I explained, it's much easier to understand. One thing, we can change it here. So if the number of records are there, means if we extract the data from the database and we get few records, then before concatenating, if I will find out this max updated date and time, it should still work and it will save my time. Why? Because we are now finding this maximum updated date and time only from few thousand records instead of millions of records which we have inside the store QVD. So the same I can do for here as well. So I will cut this one from here and I will paste it here. So what I'm gonna do now, I will add data of one more day and then we will check whether this is working or not. So now I have data of 2nd of June 2022, which I am going to load inside this table by SQL Server Integration Service. So how many records get added? 16,079. And I will run this one. So you can see we have 62 million records now, and the maximum updated date and time is 2nd of June and almost end of the day. So now we will perform the incremental load here and we'll see how much time will it take now. It took less than 1 minute, and the number of records, let me write down so that we can confirm it later on. So it is 62,031,390, and number of primary keys should be same, and then here the maximum date and time is the same, but instead of 1st of June it will be 2nd of June, and 50 instead of 53 second, it's a 54 second incremental load, and this one took only 55 seconds. So now we will load into test application and we'll see whether it works or not. So you can see now it is 62,031,390 records, and the maximum updated date and time is also matching. So this is how we can perform insert only incremental load. There are few places where we have written our full path, so I can replace them with the $ expansion. So we can say something like this. So from here I have to change it, I have to change it here as well, and I don't have to change here but here. Okay, so now we have used our variable as our QVD folder. If you completely understand this code, then you can stop watching video from here. But if you still have doubt, like how we have started with a small code and now we end up with writing so much thing, then you can continue this video. The next 5 minutes I will explain you how you can perform and write a code for the incremental load step by step. So the first thing you need to check is check your sales order.qvd exists or not. If exists, then do incremental load If not exists, then do full load. And this is your end of code. So do your full load. You will do the database connection. Then you write your select statement. And then you will extract data and get sales orders table. Now it could be possible that even though you are doing a full load, there is no data there. Could be possible. Then in that case you have to write here another check that your sales order table has data. If data is there, then you have to store data in a QD. You have to find out maximum date time. Okay. Then store max date time inside QD and drop both tables. This is your complete step when you don't have your sales orders.qd exits. So when this will happen? So this will happen when you have first load, you accidentally delete the QD. Now say this QD is there, then you have to do incremental load. So now you are coming here and you have to find out that this max date time, check whether max date time QD exists or not. If exists, then do something. If not exists, then do something. So say if it is exists, then what you have to do? You have to first load your this QD, load this QD, store data, store max date time inside a variable. Then you have to do database connection, select statement, extract data. Then you have to do everything, this one, everything this. So you have to do database connection, then select statement, then extract data and get a sales order table. Now sales order table is there. Then store data in a QD. If the table has records, then find out the maximum date and time. Store this one. Now you have to call or load previously stored this QD. Concatenate this sales order plus this previously stored QD data. And now overwrite this QD. Yeah, and you have to drop both the tables. So your job done. So this is the case where you have this sales order.qd exits and you have max date time QD also exists. But say you don't have that QD exists, then you have to first load your previously stored this QD, then find out max date time, store this max date time so that you can use next time, then store max date time inside a variable, then do the database connection, select statement, and then we will extract the data. Now when you have extracted the data, again you have to follow this step. So when you extracted the data, you have to check if sales order table has got the data. If the data is there, then find out maximum date and time, store inside QED, then load previously stored QED, concatenate sales order data which we have got the new data means updated data, and then add inside this previously stored QED, then override this QED and drop on the table. So these are the steps we have processed, we have followed in this whole script. I'm going to give this script and these steps everything to you for your practice. Unfortunately, I am not able to give you whole data set, I mean 62 million data, but definitely for your practice, I will give you data of May 2022, June 2022. You need to make a single text file and then perform the incremental load. Hope this is okay. Sorry for making this video lengthy, but I want to cover every single possible scenario. In the next video, I will show you how to perform incremental load, insert and update. Till then, thanks and have a great day.